I said, are you ready? All right, we're about to go live on the air in 3, in 2, in 1. Let's hear it for Sean of the South. All right, make him welcome, ladies and gentlemen. The band is Sean of the South. All right, hey, hey. All right.
Well, I'd like to play you a song that draws from the inspiration of this instrument here in my hand, which I inherited from my granddaddy. My granddaddy was wounded in action in Italy. He got wounded in his right armpit, and nobody could figure out how that happened. My granny said he was hanging out in a place he should not have been. But then the way he told it was a lot differently. Now, he said that he was sitting at a cafe in an Italian place, and as he was lifting his glass, whack, right in the armpit. I said, what were you drinking? He said, Ovaltine. I play this song for him. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm real proud to be right here in this town. This is the best crowd we've had all year. Sorry your wife drugged you here. Going down south, going in a run, going down south, gonna have a little fun. Going down south, going in the world, going down south, gonna see my girl. Well, before we can start this show, there's a few things you need to know. Did you remember to silence your phone? Oh, hey. And the bathroom's located in the back. Please remember to wash your hands. Wash your hands, keep them dry, and remember to zip your fly. Well, who's that guy up on the stage? Where's he from and what's his name? His name is Sean, he's from the South, and all he does is run his mouth. Will this show be very long, and what's the point of this dumb song? Does this guy have any class, or is he just a horse's? Alabama, Alabama, I still dream of you. Beneath them summer skies and them moonlit nights, them sugarcane fields and old bayou. I have been around this world a time or two. Every place leaves my face feeling sad and blue. But Alabama, coming home, coming back to you. Well, we appreciate you being here tonight. It's been a privilege playing for you. We're going to leave the stage now and let you just talk amongst yourselves.
Mississippi, or the whole Southeast, I'm coming home to you. I'm coming home to you.
Well, thank you very much. We have a very special guest to introduce you here tonight. He is a fantastic musician who harkens back to the days of Blind Lemon Jefferson and Pink Anderson, one of the great blues propagators of our day. Would you please welcome to the stage Mr. John Tavius. John Tavius. John Tavius, how long have you been playing the guitar?
14 years this year, half of my life.
Half your life. How old are you?
28. I think so, yeah.
Well, that just ain't fair. You're going to play a little bit of Hesitation Blues for us. What do you know about the history of this song?
Not much, but I know it's an older song that goes back to like the 19-teens, or maybe it's James P. Johnson. It might be his song. It seems like one of those piano player songs.
Now how did you, 28-year-old, get into music from the 1910s and 19-teens?
Well, I always was appreciative of my culture and the older people around me. I'm lucky to have my great-grandmama who was 100 years old, and so I've always asked her about, you know, that time, and you know, she wasn't, you know, she right there with it, you know.
So she could articulate what?
Yeah. And then, you know, I had a good idea of like piecing it together. I always liked history, you know. So being from rural Georgia and having a rural background, I kind of just, you know, fell in love. And I come up with old time gospel music too. So it's right there, hand in hand with all the old stuff.
You played a lot in church?
Yeah, we sung a lot, and then I played a little bit later on. Yeah.
Okay. You played these songs you're going to play for us in church?
Oh, no, never. Never.
Well, play us a little bit of Hesitation Blues. Okay.
I got my hesitation socks, my hesitation shoe. You know about that, I got them hesitation blues. Tell me, how long do I have to wait? Can I get you now, mama, or do I have to hesitate?
Well, sister was out in the yard. She found a little duck. She put him on the table with his legs stuck up, and she went and got that gravy and served it with a glass. She got a spoon and she shoved it in that little duck's, yes, yes, yeah.
Now, mama, 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 won't you look at sis? She in the backyard doing the double twist, saying, how long do I have to wait? Can I get you now, or do I have to hesitate?
How about little Bruce here?
Well, look at sis, she's a low down south. She trying to take the boogie and she don't know how. Tell me how long do I have to wait? Can I get you now, mama, or do I have to hesitate?
Ooh, there's a grasshopper sitting on the sweet potato vine. Grasshopper sitting on the sweet potato vine. How I wish that little girl was mine. I wish I had a big fine horse and a corn to feed him on.
Hey, hey, mama, the sun done gone down. Ain't no need in you to be clowning around. I said, how long do I have to wait? Can I get you now, or do I have to hesitate?
How about this guy, huh? You mean to tell me you learned that from your 100-year-old grandma?
Oh yeah, she's a good guitar player. No, no.
Tell me the differences, the nuances between this music and the music of, let's say, the generation that you belong to right now. What are some of the main differences?
The instrumentation.
Yeah?
That's about all I can really say, because I think they still talking about the same thing, you know. But
What is that thing?
everything, and that thing, you know, but everything, because the music really reside with the beat, and I think every generation have a new beat, you know, and I think more people emphasize the beat now than they do like actual instruments, but they still saying the same thing.
Saying the
It's
same thing.
Same thing. You know.
Well, why don't you play us one of your tunes? You said you
Okay.
had something called Little Drummer.
Oh yeah, I got you. Well, how y'all doing today? Oh, that ain't an answer. Y'all said woo. I said, how you doing? How y'all doing? Glad to be here, Sean of the South. It was a pleasure to meet these guys, especially you, Sean. Well, all of y'all.
We need to raise your standards.
I know. How you funny. So I want to tell y'all a little story. This is it was a fella that loved a girl but didn't know how to tell her that he loved her. So he tried to get different instruments to show his love. He tried the piano, he wasn't no good. He tried the saxophone, he wasn't no good. He tried the harmonica, he sucked at it in the wrong way. And he decided to get the fiddle, but he just couldn't hold it right. So he said he was gonna get a snare drum. And he went back and told all his friends, "I'm gonna show her I love her with a snare drum." And they said, "Well, how you gonna show her you love her with a snare drum and why?" He said, temple, because every time I come around, she make my heart go pitter, pitter, pat, pat, pitter, pitter, pat. All day. They said the same thing. Oh, that's so sweet. Then he went back home for about 4 months. He come back with a thing he called the Drummer Boy Blues, and it went like this. She say I don't do nothing but get on her last nerves. She say I don't do nothing but get on her last nerves. I said hush the fuss now, mama, 'cause I ain't listening to a word. Now if you don't want me, mama, please, ma'am, tell me why. You don't want me, please, ma'am, tell me why. 'Cause I pack up my grip and I'll keep on passing by. I'm gonna go to Memphis, take that old right-hand road. I'm gonna keep on walking till I get to my baby door. Now when I get to her door, lay down across her bed, tell her to repeat some of them things that she once have said. I do love you, I do love you, that mean I double do love you. You a high-stepping mama, I don't care what you do. I said it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. When I count them balloons, that many problems of mine. You take the 9 plus 3, you know that show equals 12. And the way I'm feeling, mama, I ain't feeling so well. I'm gonna ramble all the way to the west. That's where the eagle bird show law builds its nest. I'm gonna climb, yes, climb up on some top limb, 'cause I'm thinking about you and you thinking about him, and I'm leaving. Catch that 2-2 train, 'cause I long to hear my baby call my name. Said I'm gonna get you some new socks, she said. I want brand new shoes. Brand new socks, I want brand new shoes. She said she wanna be stepping right when I hit them Drummer Boy blues. And I come back and I said,
John Davies, everybody. What about this guy?
We would like to do a song for fathers right now because Father's Day is upon us. Father's Day is upon us. How many fathers do we have in this room right now? Yeah, that you know of. Yeah, okay. Well, that's fascinating. I thought we'd have a whole lot less. But I guess the species continues for one reason or another. And so Brad and I have been working really hard on a song for fathers, yeah.
Shall we? You go first.
My father is a doctor. What do you think about that? He wears doctor's clothing. He wears a doctor's hat. He wears a doctor's lab coat and he wears doctor's shoes. And on Saturday evening he reads the doctor's news. And one way or another, I'm gonna be a doctor just like my father.
My father's a teacher. What do you think about that? He has a teacher's collar and he wears a teacher's hat. He has a teacher's pencil and he wears a teacher's smile. And for all of his students, he goes the extra mile. And one way or another, I'm gonna be a teacher just like my father.
My old man's a cotton picking, finger licking chicken plucker. What do you think about that?
I think you're never gonna get through this.
He wears a cotton picking, finger licking chicken plucker's hat. He wears a cotton picking, finger licking chicken plucker's shoes. He wears cotton picking, finger licking chicken plucker's clothes. He wears cotton picking, finger licking chicken pluckers. And one way or another, I'm gonna be a cotton picking, finger licking chicken plucker, just like my father.
My old man's a grandpa. Now what do you think about that? He spoils our grandkids rotten, and he buys them this and that. He's never ever angry and acts just like a nut. And when he brings our kids home, we have to spank their butt. But
And one way or another,
I'm gonna be a grandpa, just like my father.
my father is a hardshell fundamentalist Baptist. What do you think about that? He wears hardshell fundamentalist Baptist clothing. He wears hardshell fundamentalist Baptist hat. He goes to hardshell fundamentalist Baptist meetings every day of the year. And I'm afraid I'll go to my grave without ever tasting beer. And one way or another, I won't be a hardshell fundamentalist Baptist quite like my father. One of the great things about Father's Day is it does remind me of my father. And my father was a good man, but I'd also like to focus on the generations who came before him, such as my grandfather. I used to love to watch my grandfather sit on the porch and talk in the way that old men used to talk, just kind of like John Tavius was hinting to. I like to sit on the porch and listen to them. I remember them talking in that cadence that old men use. You know, things are different today than they used to be. My granddaddy's friends say, I know it. You know, everybody's just so different now. They got a channel out there called Emma TV. What you reckon that stands for? Well, I don't know. I think it stands for mercy. That chick ain't got no britches on. I had to change the channel after I'd been watching for 6 hours. I know it. When we were young, we were good kids. We never did nothing wrong. I know it. We had all sorts of time in the world, and we did all the right things. You know that we were just pure like the driven snow. Before I was married, I never even kissed my wife. What about you? Well, I don't know. What was your wife's maiden name? And I'd listen to them talk, and it was just a wonderful time to be alive. Those old men would do what old men used to do, which is reach into their pockets, and they'd pull out a butter yellow case knife with dual blades. And these blades had been sharpened so many times that they were no longer convex, but they were concave. And they would sharpen a hickory stick until it got to a fine point. And once that was to a fine point, they'd look at it, and they'd toss it into the yard. And they'd go back into the yard and they'd pick out a fresh stick and they'd carve it again. And this is what we did before TikTok. But I liked the music that he taught me, and some of the music he taught me, we're going to play for you now. This particular song was one of my granddaddy's favorite songs. Little children, gather round me while I preach some. The topic is sin, and that's what I'm again. If you want to hear my story, just gather around and sit tight. while we reviewing the attitude of doing right. You got to accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative. Lights on to the affirmative, and don't mess with Mr. In Between. You got to spread joy up to the maximum, bring gloom down to the minimum. Have faith or pandemonium is liable to walk up on the scene. To illustrate my last remark, Jonah and the way, Noah and the ark. What did they do when everything looked so dark? Man, you know they accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative. Lights on to the affirmative, and don't mess with Mr. In Between. Come on, Brad. Remark, Jonah and the way, Noah and the ark. What did they do when everything looks so dark? Man, you know they accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative. Lights on to the affirmative, and don't mess with Mr. In Between. And don't mess with Mr. In Between. Don't mess with Mr. In Between. I'd like to pay special tribute to my aunt and uncle. They've been married for 40 years, and they're here tonight. 40 years. Incredible, incredible. They were walking along, and they were doing their Christmas shopping just recently. Doing their Christmas shopping. That's what people who've been married 40 years have to do. And they're in that department store together, and my uncle, he just doesn't go in for Christmas shopping very often. As my aunt was scrolling through some of the lady things, he kind of dematerialized and disappeared, and she didn't see him around. She reached into her phone pocket and she grabbed her phone. She said, "Where are you?" And he answered the phone. He said, "Well, before you get angry, before you get mad, I want you to remember something. Do you remember when we first got married? You remember when we first got married, there was this store that we walked into, a jewelry store. And in that store, do you remember that there was a diamond tennis bracelet that you fell in love with? And do you remember that I said to you that if I ever had the means, someday I would come back to that store and I would buy you that bracelet?" There were tears in my aunt's eyes. She said, yes, I remember that store." He said, "Well, I'm in the golf store next door to that." I can remember going to my aunt's house, and I can remember the wonderful times that we spent together. My aunt, she had this wonderful single-wide trailer. It smelled like a dead chicken all the time. When I was an itty-bitty boy, just up off of the floor, we used to go out to Grandma's house every month end or so. Have chicken pie and country ham and homemade butter on the bread. But the best darn thing about Grandma's house was that great big feather bed. Well, it was 9 feet high, 6 feet wide, soft as a downy chick. Made from the feathers of 4 and 11 ducks, took a whole boat of cloth for the teeth. It would hold 9 kids and 4 hound dogs, and the piggy we stole from the shed. We didn't get a
much sleep, but we had a lot of fun on Grandma's feather bed. After supper, we'd sit around the fire. The old folks would spit and chew. Can we do that again? I love that. After supper, we'd sit around the fire. The old folks spit and chew. Grandpa talk about the farm and the war, and Granny'd sing about it or two. I'd sit and I'd listen, watch the fire. Cobwebs fill up my head. Next thing you know, I'd wake up in the morning in the middle of the old feather bed. It was 9 feet high and 6 feet wide, soft as a downy chick. Made from the feathers of 4 and 11 ducks, took a whole boat of cloth for the teak. It would hold 9 kids and 4 hound dogs and the piggy we stole from the shed. We didn't get much sleep, but we had a lot of fun on Grandma's feather bed.
Well, I love my ma and I love my pa, love my granny and my grandpa too. I went fishing with my uncle and I wrestled with my cousins and I even kissed Aunt Lou. But if I had to make a choice, I guess it ought to be said I traded all plus the gal down the road for Grandma's feather bed.
It's 9 feet high, 6 feet wide, soft as a downy chick. Made from the feathers of 4 and 11 ducks, took a whole boat of cloth for the tick. It would hold 9 kids and 4 hound dogs and the piggy we stole from the shed. We didn't get much sleep, but we had a lot of fun on Grandma's feather bed. No, we didn't get much sleep, but we had a lot of fun on Grandma's feather bed. We made it.
Welcome back out to the stage, John Tavis, if you would.
You got that look in your face.
Oh, man, I keep it.
We're going to play this tune called Jelly Pie.
Jelly Pie
And
Blues.
tell me how this came to be. Tell me how you came to find this song.
Well, it's a song called Jelly Roll Blues, and I kind of copied it, so I just called it Jelly Pie Blues.
Jelly pie.
Yeah.
What is a jelly pie?
Just a pastry,
It's pastry.
delectable pastry.
Delectable pastry. Okay.
Yeah. I did add the words to it.
So these are your words.
Yeah. Well, somebody else's word, but some of them mine.
Some of
you take them, and it all. I could get copyright for it. Legally, yeah.
You sound confident about that.
Well, the blues come in this morning, run up to my front door. Blues come in this morning, run up to my front door. I had the blues today, mama, like I never had before. She got a baker's shop, it's the best one downtown. She got a baker's shop, it's the best one downtown. That's the reason I even hang around. just about died. 'Cause you didn't wanna share none of your jelly pie.
Man, that feels real good. That feels real good. I wonder, John Tavius, if you're brave enough to do a song with all the guys up here wherein one of us plays the jug.
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
You think so? You think we can get by with it? What do you think, Bruce?
Yes.
What do you think, Todd?
He ain't giving you nothing today. What key is the jug in? G. Yes.
Are you ready, boys? Because I'm not. Way down south in Memphis, Tennessee, jug band music sounds sweet to me. Sounds so sweet, and it's hard to beat. With jug band music certainly was a treat to me. Well, I'd run home, turn on the radio. Jug band music made me stomp the floor. Sounds so sweet, it's hard to beat. With jug band music certainly was a treat to me. I took off my shoes. I jump all around to them jug band blues. Sounds so sweet, and it's hard to beat. With jug band music certainly was a treat to me. Sean, you ready? Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I went to my gal, I put my hand on her knee. I said, if you don't play the jug, you can't play with me. Sounds so sweet, and it's hard to beat. Jug band music certainly was a treat to me. On that stand-up bass, look out. south in Memphis, Tennessee. Jug band music sounds sweet to me. It sounds so sweet, and it's hard to beat. With jug band music certainly was a treat. Jug band music certainly was a treat. Jug band music certainly was a treat to me. Bet you didn't think you'd see the jug play tonight. Sean Dietrich.
Let's play another one, John Tavies. Okay. What you say?
I'm with it.
Just you and me.
All right.
Well, I might take a plane, I might take a train. Either way, I'm gonna go just the same. I'm going to New Orleans. Here I come. They got lots of crazy women there. I'm gonna get me one. Won't you meet me on the corner on 12th Street in Vine? Meet me on the corner 12th Street in Vine. I'll be standing on the corner with my New Orleans bottle of wine. Well, I might take a plane and I might take a train, but either way I'm gonna go just to see, yeah, I'm going to New Orleans. New Orleans. They got lots of crazy women there, and I'm gonna get me one. Go on, buddy. I'll be waiting there. Meet me on the corner, Lord, I'll be waiting there. You'll know when you find me, I'll be the one with this red hair. Well, I might take a car, I might take a boat, I might go somewhere that's far and remote, but oh, Big Easy. They got lots of fabulous women there, and I'm gonna get me one. Give me those. Train, but either way I'm gonna go just the same. I'm going. Gonna get me one.
I really do enjoy this kind of music, and I really want to say that I wish that I could play the way you do.
Oh, man, thank you.
What about this guy? When I was a little kid, I used to watch men play music, and I just was entranced by it. I just thought it was the most wonderful thing I had ever seen. It was making this new world come out of your hands. And I loved watching men get together and the kind of conversations that it fueled. It was just marvelous. And then time got a little bit further on, and we kind of fell away from that kind of spirit. And nowadays, there's this cell phone that kind of pulls us away. And it's kind of strange because when I was a kid, our lives revolved around the bicycle. Do you remember that? The bicycle. When I was a kid, bicycles were our religion. Now, I just read a report that said that between the years of 1950 and 1999, over 70% of American young people rode a bicycle. One of them's here tonight. And today, only 9% of children ride bicycles. There's something about that that's strange. You used to walk along and I would see where my friends were simply by the amount of clotted bikes in a random front yard. They would discard those bikes and there'd be baseball cards and the spokes, and it was just marvelous. You knew where your pals were. You'd knock on the door and someone would open the door. It would be an adult, and you would lock eyes with that adult, and you would have a conversation with that adult even though you were only 8 years old. You weren't afraid, you weren't embarrassed, and you were used to doing this. You weren't looking down at a screen. I feel like something's been lost. And somehow this kind of music brings me back to something a little bit that came before me. What about you? Yes? I thought that was a pretty brilliant segue into your next song.
Oh, got the train song, right? Yeah, my apologies, brother. Yeah, that was, yeah. I can give you a train tune. You know, we used to have a train that come through our town, but...
What town was that?
Greenville, Georgia.
Greenville, Georgia.
Yeah, and the train was called the Man of War, and it used to come down from Atlanta to Columbus, Georgia, and back and forth. But they tore the tracks up in like mid-2000.
Did you watch that train? You watched it go by?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Many times. I loved it. My uncle used to work on the train, you know, so I used to imagine that he would be at the top, and I would, you know, try to run and go see him and see, but they were too fast, you know, so I couldn't do it. But I give y'all the train tune now. So the Georgia Central and the Cannonball, the two trains that had a race, and the Georgia Central blows smoke all in the Cannonball face, and it said. Now, before we get going too far on in, I need y'all to help me out, to help me with that train whistle, okay? So when I come down and say woo woo, I need you to say woo woo with me, okay? But every time my hand go down, that's one whoop. We got to do it together, not behind me, not before me, but right there on it, all right? Okay? All right. Central looked back at the Cannonball and said, man, that's all you got? The Cannonball said, no, I'm just getting my boilers hot. And they let off two long blasts with a short one right behind, and it went a little faster right down the line. They said, faster, just a little bit. All right, we're gonna crank it in the high gear and shove a little cold. the track, and about 6 miles down the track, we had a good line of view, and we saw a dog on the track, so we had to blow our horn. We said, he jumped off, and we kept going. It's a crazy old train. If you listen to the train real hard, you'd hear the whistle say, I want my mama.
What? You want your mama? Holla loud then.
Now, if you want to go to heaven, let me tell you what to do. You got to grease your feet with mutton stew. And if the devil tried to grab you with his greasy hand, you go to slipping and sliding over the promised land. Look. Now, if you want to get a rabbit out of L.O.G., you got to put on the sound like a D.O.G. Thank you.
How about this man? How about this man?
Thank you.
When I was just starting this whole career, whatever you call this thing that I do, I had this opportunity to go speak at a very large gig, and there were going to be 1,600 Methodist ministers gathered inside this building, and they were going to be waiting for somebody to say something witty and insightful to them. And somehow I got hired to do this. Well, the problem is, as many of you know already and have seen, I don't have anything witty or insightful to say. And so I was very nervous, but my wife said that they were willing to pay a powerful check. So I was forced to do this against my will almost. And I had no idea how to prepare for it. My wife said, look, you've got to believe in yourself. You've got to believe that you're something more than what you are. Because if you don't believe that you're more than what you are, then you aren't more than what you are. You're less than what you is and was and ever shall be. Are you picking up what I'm laying down? I said, what can I do to make myself feel better? She said, you need to go get yourself a haircut. Because that's what women do, Sean. When women don't feel good about themselves, whenever they have a breakup or a hard time in life, they go get a haircut. Well, I always do what my wife says. It's got me in trouble this many times. So I went to a place. It was a Supercuts. They advertised that they had normally $5.99 haircuts. But today, they had given a half rate. It was $3 haircuts. I was excited. I walked inside proudly, and I saw that lady standing there behind that chair, and she beckoned me in with this warm smile. And I sat down. The waiting room was full of people. And she put that pink cape on me and duct taped it around my neck. And she said, what are we doing today? I said, we're cutting my hair because I'm going to be speaking to Methodist ministers. She said, well, I wouldn't know nothing about that. I'm Catholic. She turned me around. She flipped on the buzzers and she clipped my hair. And I saw her as she was clipping my hair, and she was an artist at work. You know, it's one of the last true arts to clip a man's hair. You use your hands. You're touching his scalp. You're assessing him for symmetry and for balance. Well, I had been getting over a cough that week. And as she had them clippers right above around 9 o'clock, I let it ring. And I saw the clippers in my lap, still vibrating. And I picked them up, and I looked at her, and her mouth was over her hand was over her mouth. She said, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God." I said, "What? What happened?" She said, "This has never happened to me before." I said, "Calm down. What just happened?" She spun me around to look in the mirror. I looked at my hair. There was this trench cut inside me. I said, "Good Lord, how did this happen?" She said, "I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to do. And I know this is really unprofessional, but I really need to go outside and smoke." So she walked outside and she took her smoke break, and I saw her friends come gather beside her as they sucked down about 5 menthol Misty Slims. She came back in and she looked at me and she said, "We've been talking out there." I said, "Yeah?" She said, "We've been trying to figure out how to fix your problem." I said, "Okay, give it to me." She said, "We're just going to shave your head." I said, "Why don't you go back out there and smoke again?" She came back in after another round and she said, "We're going to take it real short, but we're going to try to give you a little bit of, shortness on the sides and length on the top. I promise I'll blend it in." I said, "All right." She got them clippers going. I looked at her in the mirror and she made the sign of the cross. And she shaved off my entire scalp. I looked in that mirror and I felt like Uncle Fester. Well, I went to that thing and I talked before 1,600 Methodist ministers. And you know what, folks? Something happened to me. When I got out there on the stage, before I even said a word, everybody laughed. I didn't have to say a single thing. I walked to the side of the stage and they had these huge projectors that showed my face on the sides of me. And I saw that trench still embedded in my hair. And everybody, when I turned my head this way, laughed hard at me. And I realized that any day that you have your hair is a very, very good day. If you got your hair, don't you cry, 'cause it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be alright. I really mean it. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be okay. Half the things you worry about ain't gonna happen today. Don't you cry or worry or fritter your life away, 'cause it's gonna be alright. It's gonna be okay. I'm really serious. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be okay. Half the things that frighten you ain't got to make you afraid. Don't you try to figure it out. Don't rearrange your day, 'cause it's gonna be alright. Yeah, it's gonna be okay, little buddy. It's gonna be okay. I really mean it. It's gonna be okay. Let's take a short intermission. Thank you very much for being here. We'll be right back in 15 minutes. I was married in a little clapboard church, a tiny little church. It was small. It was dank. It leaned a little bit to the northeast because that's the direction Jesus is coming back. It used to be white once upon a time, but then it turned into kind of a mildew funk mold color. It was the color of the universe, and the boys' youth group had to get out there and paint the whole thing. It was a nice church, a good place to grow up. The 15th Church of Black Creek, Florida. It used to be the first. But, Baptists ain't happy unless they're having a split every 5 years. My favorite thing about those kind of churches like that was a little room that they had in the back, behind the church. It was a wonderful place to be. It was called the Fellowship Hall. And in that Fellowship Hall, things took place, many, many things. We had food upon food upon food upon food. We were not allowed to be braggadocious people. For crying out loud, we weren't even allowed to put paprika on our deviled eggs. But when it came to food, we was allowed to strut our stuff and show exactly what we had. And I can close my eyes and I can see every dish inside that place tonight. I can still feel it and see it. As soon as you walk in to that room, the first thing you see are two large, orange, whiskey barrel-sized coolers with a little white spigot on the bottom. We know what's in these coolers. Sweet tea and sweet, sweet tea. Because if you are a fundamentalist Southern Baptist by the time of 12 years old, if you don't already have type 2 diabetes, are you even trying? Yes, and once you pass that big old thing of coolers, you get to the place on the table where the main event exists, really. And I'm, of course, talking about fried chicken. Fried chicken made by Sister Eula and Sister Betty Lynn. Sister Eula makes hers extra crispy with 11 herbs and spices. Sister Betty Lynn makes hers a little bit floppy with 10 herbs and spices. She learned how to make her chicken in the Great Depression when they didn't have a whole lot of peanut oil laying around, so you couldn't submerge the chicken thigh. So you had to fill up your iron skillet with only a 1/4 inch of peanut oil, and then get your chicken and lay it in there and let that bottom half get done, and then flip it once and flip it twice, flip it 3 times until the whole thing was done. When people bit into this leg, it was a little pink in the center. We call that Baptist sushi. But I love these places, and once you pass the fried chicken, you get to the vegetable portion of the table. The vegetables in a Southern Baptist church, we don't really know what they are. It's just a whole lot of green slop. We have something that we believe is collards, but we're really not sure. All we know is we see little chunks of the ham bone floating around in there, and maybe every now and then there will be a collard green. And then once you pass that, you get to that green bean salad, which comes from Brother Hootie's wife. She's all the way up from Michigan. We don't recommend that you eat any of that. And then once you pass that part of the table, you get to a portion of the table which I would not wish on my worst enemy. And I'm, of course, talking about the congealed salads. Who in their right mind decided to mix horse hoof gelatin with fruit and various inedible objects such as office supplies and put it into a bundt pan and serve it upside down? We had jellos that were only identified by their color rather than their name. We had red salad. We had green salad. We had yellow salad. Looked like a venereal disease. And we had a salad called tomato aspic. Some of you know what tomato aspic is, but I guarantee you tonight there will be some people who have never heard of tomato aspic, and so I will explain it to you, if I may. Tomato aspic is a salad that is composed of Campbell's tomato juice poured into an upside-down bundt pan mixed with rabbit hide gelatin, placed upside down once it coagulates in the refrigerator onto a bed of iceberg lettuce. Then it is topped with green olives and canned oysters. Once that salad has been in the refrigerator long enough to develop until it's the consistency of 3-day-old phlegm, It is removed and pulled out and put onto the potluck line. Now, we had a lady in our church, Sister Lou Perkins, who used to make tomato aspic. And every single Sunday I'd walk through and I'd get that look as I walked past her. And she'd say, "Oh, Sean, come get you a piece of aspic." I'd say, "Thank you, ma'am, but no thanks." And I'd walk on. And I'd see my mother say, Get over there. Get back over there and get you a piece of that aspic." So, "Mama, I don't want none of that aspic. Just you get you some of that aspic. She worked so hard on it." I said, "Mama, what? No, I don't want none of that." She said, "Come on there. Get over there." And I'd go back over and she'd look at me. "Oh, have you changed your mind?" "Yes, ma'am, I did. I like me a piece of aspic." She said, "All right." And she'd cut me off a wedge that was about the same width and thickness of Gone with the Wind. She put that on my plate, and this stuff was so dense that it wobbled, and it picked up the vibrations in the room. And I walked back to my table. She said, "Sean, hold on one second." And I turned around. She said, "You forgot." And she popped open a can of oysters. She put them on there. They looked like mature boogers. I said, "Thank you, ma'am." And I walked back over to my table and I sat down. My mother was sitting there. She said, "Well, now you got to eat it." I said, "Why don't you eat it?" She said, "Son, I paid my dues." So I got my fork and I cut me off a little wedge and I stabbed it. Vibrating on. My mother said, "That's fine, that's all you got to do." And she'd wrap it up and we'd take it home. My mother would wrap it tinfoil, and then in the middle of the week she'd set it on top of the refrigerator and she'd uncover it. All the house flies pitched in to get our screen door fixed. Yes, sir. But I met my wife at a place just like that. You know that? I met my wife in that little fellowship hall. She was a beautiful young brunette, and I'll never forget seeing her walk into that place. She walked in with a friend of hers named Donna. Donna went through boy trouble every single week of her life. And after boy trouble, every single time, she would either dye her hair a new color or cut her hair in a new fashion. That week she walked in, her hair was bottle blonde and permed like a Brillo pad. And I saw my wife walking next to her, and she sat down and she had a plate of fried catfish. Oh, what a woman. I sat across from her with my cousin Ed Lee, and I looked at her, and she was just sitting there, and she was preparing to eat her fried catfish, and the way she was doing it, she was taking off her earrings, because that woman was fixing to go scuba diving. And when she got down on that catfish, it was just like a... She looked across at me. She lifted up her red Solo cup with both palms, and she said, "Go get me some more tea." I didn't even know this woman. I said, "Okay." I went over there and I got her some tea, and I came and I sat back down, and I knew I was going to marry that woman. It takes a real woman to abandon all self-pride and eat like that with total abandon. Oh, yes. And when it was finished, my wife and I had talked a little bit, and we ended up going out on some dates. And I knew that I was going to marry her. I knew this was going to be my wife. I walked into the marriage counseling. Our little preacher, he was about 5'1", but with his preacher man hair, he was about 6'11". And he said, "Y'all two want to get married, huh?" I said, "Yes, sir, I do." He said, "Well, I just want to tell you something. I can't marry you. You hadn't been together long enough." I said, "Well, that's okay, sir. My uncle, is a Church of Christ preacher ever since he was called to preach at the age of 3. Would you mind him marrying us? He said, well, no, we'll rent you the building and then we'll marry you there and you can have your uncle do it. Well, my uncle, he had fallen from grace considerably. Didn't tell the preacher that he wasn't currently a Church of Christ preacher. And we knew this because when we were at Thanksgiving last year, he had the hiccups pretty bad. And he was asked to say grace. And he said, 3 preachers went to heaven. A Church of Christ preacher, a Baptist preacher, and a Methodist preacher. The Baptist preacher went up to St. Peter, and St. Peter looked at him and said, is your name in this Lamb's Book of Life? And the Baptist man said, yes, I've been telling everybody about how to get into this place all my life. Look my name up. My name is in that book. St. Peter said, all right. And he looked at his name. He said, I'm sorry to tell you, your name is not in this book because it says here you loved money so much you married a woman named Penny. Depart from me into everlasting flames. St. Peter said to the Methodist, is your name in this book? Methodist said, oh yes, my name's in that book. I've been telling people how to get to this exact spot and into those gates all my life. St. Peter said, let's have a look-see here. And he looked in there and he said, well, I'm sorry to tell you, it says right here, I can't let you in because you loved liquor so much, you married a woman named Sherry. Depart from me into everlasting flames. And the Church of Christ preacher took his wife by the arm and said, come on, Fanny, let's get out of here. Well, my uncle said he would do it. He would marry me. He told me to show up at the church at a certain time. He was going to do it. But my first job was to figure out what music I was going to have for my wedding. That music is very important. So I met with Sister Betty Lynn, our church accompanist. She played the Mason and Hammond piano. And I also met with Sister Lynn Betty, who played the 14 horsepower Hammond organ. And they were older women, and they hadn't had their hearing aids changed ever since Herbert Hoover was in office. Sister Betty Lynn said, Sean, what kind of music would you like played? I said, well, we got married at Christmas time around December 19th. I said, I think Christmas songs would be in order here. She said, oh, yes, Christmas hymns, that would be so wonderful. And we got out the hymnal and we started looking around. She said, what about this one? I said, yeah, how about Good King Wenceslas? How about The First Snow Well? She said, what song would you like to see your bride walk down to? I said, well, one of my favorite songs is the holly and the ivy, when they are both full grown, the playing of the merry organ, sweet music by the fire. Oh, Sean, that would be so lovely. Now, what song would you like to leave the church to when you are announced as man and wife? I said, I don't know. I don't reckon you'd want to play Silent Night. How about Joy to the World? Oh, yes, Sean, that would be so wonderful. Joy to the world, yes. Well, the wedding was a stunning experience. My aunt, she came all the way to our home with 14 small Christmas trees purchased directly from a little town in Two Egg, Florida. She got these Christmas trees all over the altar and she weaved them up with all these blinking lights. There were 42,000 blinking lights on these trees. The power company had to switch us to nuclear power. And when that wedding began to happen, I was getting nervous. And I was in the dressing room. And my uncle showed up. I said, are you ready to do this? He said, I'm totally ready. I'm totally ready. I said, Brother John, I'm nervous. He said, oh, Lord, don't be nervous. Just don't lock your legs. I said, why? He said, I don't know. That's just what we're supposed to tell people. We walked out there and we got in front of the altar. Brother John and me, we stood there. And I watched Sister Betty Lynn, Sister Lynn Betty play those wonderful songs. And I was just trembling, nervous. And I saw them doors open up and I heard that song. And I saw the rest of my life coming toward me in a dress. And I was very, very nervous. You know, men and women weren't supposed to live together. That wasn't in the plan. We're very different people. It's very hard for us to coexist. I don't know how they do it. Do you know for the first 7 weeks in the womb, we are all, every one of us, female? And then testosterone washes through the system and damages the brain of baby boy. And the only people laughing at that are females. Because they know it's true. But it's okay. Testosterone is a great desensitizer. And it means that you become more of a protector because you don't feel as much pain as the other sex. And this is how nature intended it to be. And we as a culture have latched onto this almost immediately. We know this by the way we react when we find out someone's having a baby. Think about it. When a woman's pregnant and you know she's having a baby girl, when a baby girl's born, what does she get? She gets pink booties, pink ribbons, pink blanket. When a baby boy is born, what does he get? Circumcised. This is why we as little boys don't cry when we fall off a bike. You think that hurt? That joker in the hospital did something to me and I couldn't walk for a year. What was I thinking getting married? And my wife came down the aisle and she got to me. And I looked at her and she looked at me. And she said, "Why the hell does the preacher have the hiccups?" I said, just relax, just relax. He's all right, he's all right. He just gets excited. She said, "I don't even care. Just as long as you have the ring." I said, "About that. Modern couples aren't using rings these days. Did you know that? Because what is a piece of jewelry going to do? You know, it's in your heart." That's she said, "I can't believe you forgot the ring. You're going to be in my family?" I said, just relax, just relax. We're going to get through this." My Uncle John leaned forward. He said, what's going on? I said, "Brother John, Jamie, we're going to do a union prayer." Jamie said, "What is a union prayer?" I said, we're just gonna pray." Brother John did a beautiful sermon. When the sermon was over, he said, "And now, instead of exchanging rings, the couple is going to do a union prayer." And sure enough, my wife and I pressed our foreheads together. And I said, "Dear Lord, help my wife to see that jewelry does not matter. Not in light of how two people can feel for one another, for the love that they have in their heart." My wife said, "Dear Lord, forgive me for what I will do to this man as soon as we walk out of this building." And then we said our vows. I do, she do, we all do. And then Brother John looked at me and he said, "Ladies and gentlemen," a smile on his face, "I would like to announce to you Mr. and Mrs. Sean Dietrich." And he looked at Betty Lynn, who came crashing down onto the piano, and she said, "Jeremiah was a bullfrog." My wife looked at me and said, "It's going to be a silent night." Joy to the world, oh, the boys and girls. Joy to the fishes in the deep blue sea. Joy to you and me. Jeremiah was a bullfrog, good old friend of mine. Well, let me hear you sing joy to the world.
joy to you and me. Brad Ryan, who, in case you don't know him, is a member of the Alabama Music Hall of Fame. Give him a hand. And on the doghouse bass, we got Todd Brazier. Or Brazier, depending on how you pronounce that in this part of Alabama. And we got right here on the drums, Steve Ramos. Did I say that right? And actually, do you have a child, Steve?
3.
You have 3 children. And what are their names?
Gino.
Gino?
Mikey.
Gino? Nico. And Mikey. Okay. My grandfather came from a family with a lot of kids. There was Eenie, Meanie, Miney, and Sam, because they weren't going to be no more. Well, let's play a song for you and for your kids. What you say? Tell me something. What is the descent of your parents?
Chilean and Peruvian.
Chilean and Peruvian. All right. Do you like country music? Here's one from Chile. De la Sierra Morena, cielito lindo, vienen bajando un par de ojitos negros, cielito lindito de contrabando. De la Sierra Morena, cielito lindo, vienen bajando un par de ojitos negros, cielito lindito de contrabando. Oh, ay, ay, ay. Canta y no llores, porque cantando se alegran, cielito lindito, los corazones. Oh, ay, ay, ay. Canta y no llores, porque cantando se alegran, cielito lindito, los corazones. Ese lunar que tiene, cielito lindo, junto a la boquita, no se a nadie, cielito lindo, que a mí me toca. Es el honor que tiene, cielito lindito, junto a la boquita. No, sino de a nadie, que a mí me toca. Oh, ya, ya, ya. Canta y no llores, porque cantando se alegran, cielito lindo, los corazones. Oh, ya, 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 ya. Canta y no llores, ay, chulita, porque cantando se alegran, cielito lindo, los corazones. Vaya, Steve, vaya. ay, 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 ay. Canta y no llores, porque cantando se alegran, cielito lindo, los corazones, los corazones, los corazones, los corazones.
And now we're going to play one for your dad, Brad. Come on up here. Come on up here. Brad's dad, Jerry Ryan, a long time ago, 52 years ago, back when Nixon was still in office, that wonderful president that everybody loved. He started 3 on a String.
Yes, he and the great Bobby Horton went up to Horsepins 40 up in St. Clair County, and they played a 14-song set, but they only knew 7 songs. They played them each twice.
52 years, you grew up watching those guys play.
Yes, I was 6 years old in 1971. And if you want to know my parents' descent, Hansel and Jasper.
Well, well now tell me, you told me about your brothers. You inherited the music gene. How did that all?
Well, they had 3 sons. My father he was a coach, and he loved music, and he loved to drink beer. Had 3 sons, and my oldest son went into coaching, and I went into music.
I see. Okay, well.
As they used to say, yes, we have 2 wonderful sons and another son. No.
Say, hey, good looking, what you got cooking? How's about cooking something up with me? Hey, sweet baby, don't you think maybe we could find us a brand new recipe? Got a hot rod Ford and 2 dollar bill, and I know a spark right over the hill. There's soda pop and dancing's free, so if you wanna have fun, come along with me. Say, hey, good looking, what you got cooking? How's about cooking something up with me? Ooh, I'm gonna throw my date book over the fence. Buy me one for 5 or 10 cents. Keep it till it's covered with fleas, 'cause I'm writing your name down on every page. Hey, good looking, say what you got cooking? How's about cooking something up with me? Yes, I said, how's about cooking something up with me?
Let's bring back out here to the stage Mr. John Tavius. Come on out here.
Better down the road.
Time ain't no good good here, but it's better down the road. Time ain't no good here, but it's better down the road. I gotta make a change just to save my bad luck. So won't you tell me, mama, what more can I do? Won't you tell me, mama, what more can I do? I've done all I know just to try to get along with you. Now if the house on fire and it ain't no water around. Now if the house on fire and it ain't no water around, throw your little rags out the window and let the shack burn down. Well, it's a B for Bessemer and it's a B for Birmingham. It's a B for Bessemer, a B for Birmingham. It's a B in the shape I am. Now when I get to heaven, I'm gonna pull off my shoes. Now when I get to heaven, I'm gonna pull off my shoes. I'm gonna ask Brother Moses just to teach me the walking blues. He said it go like this.
How about this guy, huh?
Thank you.
Now, you grew up playing in church?
Yeah, well, I grew up singing in church. I didn't play it. Really started when I got guitar. I knew I wanted to play blues. You know?
Yeah.
But I started singing.
You started singing in church?
Yeah, started singing in church for sure.
And you want to do a church song with us here?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. T and G. Well, I got shoes. You got shoes. All God's children got shoes. And when I get to heaven, gonna put on my shoes and walk all over God's heaven. Just the blues. Well, I got shoes. You got shoes. All God's children got shoes. When I get to heaven, Lord, I'm gonna put on my shoes. I'm gonna put on my shoes and walk all over God's heaven. Go on, John. Lord, I said, don't let the devil
That was really nice.
That was fun.
I think we're going to have to do a few more gospel tunes. What do you think? I think maybe one of my favorite gospel tunes is as follows. It's one that presents a happy feeling, and yet it must deal with vicious death at the same time. And those are the three building blocks of a good hymn. And I have one such hymn that I would like to present. I was standing by the window when that hearse came rolling in for to carry away my mother to a place I never see her again. Oh, I said, Undertaker, Undertaker, please drive slow for this woman that you are carrying. Lord, I hate to see her go. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. I am singing songs of childhood. I am singing with my friends. One day soon we'll be together in a world that never ends. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. Go ahead, John. Brad, come on, hey one. We'll circle, be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by. There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. Thank you very much for being here. It's been a wonderful privilege. Thank you very much. How about it? John Tavius, Brad Ryan, Steve Ramos, Todd Brazier.